Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to another episode on the Coin King channel. Hanging out with your girl down the crypto TA, and Biddy is pumping. Look, I'm so hyped this morning. Bitcoin is rampaging, rampaging. Like we're backpedaling on everything we did in this correction to the downside. We are backpedaling on it. All those levels that we hit here with the X's and the ones and the twos and all that good stuff. Like we're knocking these walls back down. Okay, we're knocking these walls back down here. Currently, we're sitting at what was a daily 20 SMA. So this used to be the daily 20 SMA where I can't pull back on this chart right here because it's 15-minute chart. It's gonna look all crammed up and crappy. But this was one of the first levels that we wanted to hold. So you can see that we're rejecting off of this. And you remember way back when, which wasn't too long ago. This was, and let me see if I can. This was us. This was us initially getting that breakdown below and me saying, okay, we need to get back up above this one right here. If we don't get back above this one, the next one is going to be down here. This is going to be the X. We burst straight through the X, and then we came back up the X and we rejected off of this one. This was the daily. Actually, this was my bad because that reads 1. So that was standard deviation 1 here on the daily. This is what this used to be, standard deviation 1. This was 20 SMA right here. So we rejected off of that one. And then, of course, we had to come down to this one right here. We chopped on our weekly, and we rolled over. And then the next thing was we have to get back above this 20 SMA here on the weekly. And then by the time that Sunday rolled around, we were back up above it, back in business. And now we're going back to these levels all over again. You can see a little slight rejection right there, but that's fine because Bitcoin kept hammering away at this little zone right here, just hammering away at that golden pocket, or you can say the range break measure move. So the 1-to-1 on the range break, right? Oh, we looking good. Government shutdown and all, so we're all aware of that. The U.S. government has shut down. And that's fine. I think the worst in history was about 30 days. That was the worst in history. No major impact on the market as far as I have researched. No major impact on the market. You may see some slight pullbacks here and there. I was looking at Palantir. I know we're on Biddy and we're loving it. I was looking at Palantir because, Palantir does government contract, blah, 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 blah. How much it would actually affect Palantir, where it is down slightly, very, very slightly. So there might be something to start looking at. Buying or taking a position into Palantir. Yeah, loving this. As I take a sip of my coffee, it's Wednesday. It's my no show day, but I'm here today. We're gonna keep this simple and sweet today. Again, it's one of those levels that we rejected at on the way down. And you can see it's acting as a little bit of resistance in here. We did blast straight through it, but it's acting as a little bit of resistance in here. We get past this one, then I start to look at this. Now this was from the weekly right here. This might have moved. It may have moved. I'm not sure. I haven't tried to adjust it in any way whatsoever. But if I zoom out, then I'll see that we also just hit our 4. So over here, on our 4-hour time frame, I'll slap the Bollinger Bands on right here because I was wanting price to come into here. I was really wanting price to come down here on this correction yesterday. We didn't do it. And in fact, we're back inside of the bullish control zone on the Bollinger Band. So I really wanted us to come back, and it was too soon. It was too soon. My wish was way too soon. I know it because we just got out behind back up above it. And I'm like, come back. And it's like, no. Okay, so we hammered away here at this high, finally broke through it. And yeah, you can see right here, we're just at that standard deviation 2 on the Bollinger, standard deviation 2. Now, maybe I can start wishing for this one. Maybe I can wish for this one because I'm still not in a Bitcoin position just yet. That was going to be my entry if we came back down into here. That was going to be my interest because I really, over the weekend, come on now. Come on, man. Joe Biden me. Come on, man. To do this over the weekend. I mean, yeah. But yep, that's what we're slapping right now. Standard deviation 2 here on our Bollinger, and we are back inside our bullish control zone, and we just want to stay here. We just want to stay here, which means if we pull back, we want to maintain this top now because this is what we hammered at to get in, right? So we hammered away here. You're also going to have your standard deviation 1 right there. So this is what we want. We want to stay above, and you can just say that it's your golden pocket. But this was the next level that we were looking at anyway in here for the target, as we were discussing it as price was dropping. Here was an option, which you can see we chopped about at the lows in here where we got the breakdown, right? And then the next option was going to be right up above this shoulder right here, which we're in that 4-hour level of resistance as well. So lots of confluence in here. It may also be your 786. I am not sure. I have not used the fib over here on this. Okay, so it's well past that. So yeah. It was just the brilliance of knowing that it would probably be up here. Just kidding. Just kidding. But I'm super happy and hyper today, and I don't know why, but it feels good to be that way, right? Every time I take a sip of that coffee, at least a little bit more sugar or something. Not real sugar, but, you know, sugar-free creamer. All right, let's take a look at Ethereum over here. Because, yeah, Eve just broke through this trend line here that we had on the chart here. Let me turn that off so we can see what we were analyzing right here, right across here, line bias right across there. So we just broke that. I mean, looks like a head and inverse head and shoulder. I'm just not going to participate. I'm just not. But I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I'm just not going to participate. I'm just going to look at these horizontal lines and I'm going to keep it moving. So we get through here, then Ethereum, then I'm just going to be looking up here. Now, ETH hasn't actually back tested this breakdown zone in here just yet. So it has a little bit more room to push up, in my opinion, with this huge gap in here. But this is the new resistance level right here. So you can see that we almost came right up into that. And I did let you know on Monday that I adjusted all the levels to fit the new price action. Yeah. So I think these are the dailies right here. Yeah. So for Ethereum, I use the dailies. And that is where we're at. It's been nice ever since we got the bounce off of the 382, as have most altcoins that got the bounce off of their 382. They have been holding it down. I do still see this rising pattern in here, but again, you know, it's hard to tell what they want to do. Inverse head and shoulders, rising wedges, rising channels, whatever. I think that they may have all just kind of broken that scenario. If I look over here at Solana, you can see the same thing would go for Sol. And then if I just stretch this out, because I put this on the line bias here. Let me do the best I can to get this lined up without going through my extra. I'm gonna have to go through my extra step because, you know, I feel some kind of way when them lines are not perfect. And it's probably never going to be perfect. Okay, that's good. All right. So it has held. I thought maybe, you know, just maybe. But you can see our 4-hour levels in here. We've been watching two within our larger zone, which is our weekly zone. Those are actually working out pretty good too. So, nice for some quick trades, to be honest with you, like some scalping, but you know, you want the full move. But these have done really, really well, really well. There's a new one in here, somewhere down in here, but I don't have that one on the chart just yet. It's too fresh for me to even want to get into it. So I'm leaving that out, but you can see we're coming up here into this one right here, which is at 217.81, and our high was 217.42. So I think I might stick with doing these 4-hour levels here for Solana. I will stick with it, okay? Because I don't usually do it. I usually just go weekly level to weekly level. but the fours seem to be working. So we get through that. If we get through that in confluence with that rising top line up there, then of course we're going to look at our weekly next, which is going to be 227, because there was nothing after that. After this 4 hour level right here, it's clean skies to do the 227 as far as I can tell from how I map out my source support and resistance levels in here, right? Or let me just say we're sort of like how VWAP is calculated. So VWAP uses volume. Yeah, I just look at where the average activity took place on average. What was the most activity at? And that's how I get these levels right here. So 227 would be next to the upside. And then after that, I'm going to start looking at that 235.65 and see. Sometimes we'll blast through one. If we blast through one, then you want to look at it as your support level. So know that. Okay. And of course, to the downside, if for some reason we start to roll over, like I said, there is something in here that you can look at. If these fail before you start to get down here into the red, there is one in here. I just don't have it highlighted just yet, but there is one in here when we have this little pivot at right here for Salonzo. So that's looking good. Not sure if I actually looked to see if Solana actually bounced off of its 382 as well, but I'm almost certain that it probably did, as much of the market did. Let's take a look over here at my babies, Hyperliquid, Aster, and Pump. Okay, so last we were looking at this little falling wedge in here. We got a break to the upside out of this little falling wedge here for Hyperliquid, and then we had a failure to communicate. What we have here is a failure to communicate, and so we came back down. I know that we were looking at a little zone in here, which might have been right in here or something like that. And I said to you, and I have this on the 2 hour chart right now, that it would likely come back down into here somewhere. So it wasn't worth holding it if it got that drop right there. I'm still in it. I'm still in it. It didn't bother me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna hold on to it. It didn't bother me. So yeah, still in it, in profit. That's great. We're hitting our weekly top here at 46,683. So a little rejection back underneath that zone right there. I'm still thinking that we can come back up here and back test somewhere back around this line right here. But if things start to really go, then of course I'll be looking at the next weekly level back up there at 51. And this is just a little bit too extended out to still consider this to be some sort of an inverse head and shoulder. You know, like I said, when we were in here, you can say it's an inverse head and shoulder, but you have to understand that market makers have been doing this right here. This is the first time I've seen it on the inverse, but we saw it plenty of times and covered it plenty of times here on the channel when it came to the actual head and shoulders, how they were doing that, how they had the head and shoulders with the falling wedge, and then the price would break to the upside, so that head and shoulder never played out, right? But bounce off of the 382 again. Like I said, most of the things that I have looked at in the market, they have bounced off that 382 and have been holding up pretty well ever since then. So I just minimized on what indicators I'm using, because some of them are, not working as well, or probably just giving you those short-term moves. So we had a little squeeze here on the RSI, as you can tell right here, because we're in a pocket. And so we have broken above our yellow signal line in here. Hopefully we can hold that and we can push up higher here on Hyperliquid. So not bad. I don't want to see the bear divs though, and I can already see that we probably be pushing into some bear divs, potentially pushing into some bear divs. But that's hype on the 2 hour time frame. Let's keep it moving. All right. So Aster, I had to push out on a 2 hour time frame. So yesterday, what we talked about with Aster is I was thinking that the 15-minute was going to give us a pump before it got that dump, but it didn't. We looked at the fact that it had that head and shoulder, and I said to you, before we get down here to make this measure move down here at the 786, we probably get a small pump. We did not. We just nuked straight down here to the 786 and that measure move here. So yeah, we just nuked straight down to it, just straight down to it. And it has a lot to do with the cliff unlock that's about to take place for Aster. And I don't even know if they came up with a solution yet. I know the founder was supposed to be trying to figure something out, but that was the last on the news that I read. And it was coming from let's see. Oh, no. It was coming from this article right here. Yeah, so you would just have to go take a look at that article there. Now, one thing I can say about Aster, that I said it had a strong, sorry, not a strong, but a strong sales signal that has reduced to just a sales signal. So it is making a little bit of progress because it was down here yesterday. It was like this thing, like there was not about to be any red on here at all. It was just gonna all be gray. It had such a strong sale on it yesterday. But now it's just around a sale right now, which again, that is a lot better than what it was. Okay, I'm out taking my little walk yesterday, and I was in the Aster loan, and I said I'd probably add to it if it dropped down here to this golden pocket. Okay, so I didn't do that. I was taking my walk yesterday. I wasn't really paying attention. I look at it by the time I'm probably about, I don't know, 5 minutes out from my walk, 5 minutes almost home from my walk, and oh boy, I'm down. I didn't put a stop on this because I already had figured where it was going to move to, and my leverage was so low, right? So I ended up buying in down here at the golden pocket. So I bought in, not the golden pocket, but the 786. I ended up buying here at the 786, which completely dropped that entry down because I only taken one small entry into it, so it completely dropped it down. And then once it came up, I sold like 75%. Like, get it out. Let me drop that 75% out. Hooray! So hopefully, because I know we're going to come back into this now. This is very important here. It's very, 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 very important that we maintain this. If it's not, it really needs to maintain above about one. I was gonna say 160, and I think that is so wrong. We really need to get back into this zone right here at least. So that's what I'm gonna say to you. We at least need to be back in there. So back above this resistance down here. We really want to get back above here, because if we're not doing that, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know how well we're gonna do. I mean, this is a double bottom. This was as low as I was thinking that we can go, but even then, it kind of made you a little bit nervous. Like, are we going to? I don't want to see us down here. I don't want to see this down here. I mean, and that's the problem with a lot of these new projects is they come out bat swinging, hitting home runs until they start doing all these freaking unlocks, and it's terrible. It really kills a project. It really, really does. That's something that Sui goes through. That's why I said Sui has two speeds. Fast? No, not two speeds, but two levels. Pumping real hard or dumping real hard, and that's it. And it's because of the unlocks. That really hurts the project. And so Aster is no different, which is why I continue to say Hype is just a better project. It's just a better project, especially when you consider how much it's going to get dumped into the market, how much it's going to affect market cap, how much, share price. It's a lot. So it's not too many levels in here. There's something in here too as well. I just don't have that highlighted. I really don't have it doesn't, from how I figure out these levels, there was never any slowdown in here. You can't see it because you see this right here, but I didn't see any slowdown in it, so I didn't mark that off. But if I look at VRVP, which you can take that with a grain of salt, you can see right here that it does give something in here for that. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't really know about Aster right now. But I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. So we'll see how we do. But we do want to get back above these lows in here. And then after that, we get back above these lows in here. Our biggest level of constraint is going to be right here. So in fact, I'm going to dash this out the same way I dashed out this level. And this level has been dashed out ever since I put this level on here for a good reason. So I'm just going to do the same thing with this one, just to let you know this is an important level right here. Just as important as this one was. And then after that, you know what? Who cares? It's doing way too much. Way too much. Okay. So Aster above these levels, and we can have something to talk about. Below these levels, it's really not good. But that played out right there, that double top and that drop. Just bloop. All right, pump. I miss playing with pump, and I haven't. I stopped playing with pump, and pump got this nice inverted head and shoulder, and it's really been killing it. Really, really, really been killing it. If I'd been paying attention, maybe, but I know that this happened over the weekend, and that just wasn't going to suffice for me. But nice push back up above a yellow signal line in here, just all the way down until we get above it. So that's a nice move. Nice little inverse head and shoulder here for pump as well. It is at the resistance lows in here, so that's where your reaction is coming from. So please do not buy in at resistance. Okay, I have laughed and joked a few times when I sat here and see myself do it, but don't buy in at resistance. Let it pull back away from the resistance, or let it chop. Yeah, let it pull back. Let it pull back. At least if it comes back up to it, you'll manage to make some money off of it. You want to see it, chop it, hammer at it. Make sure it's not more supply there. More supply there than demand, and that you can break it. So be careful about buying into resistance, okay? Because you get through this, and then next we're gonna be looking back up here. But right here, I'm not sure if I actually had to make any changes to the levels in here. I'm not sure if I did or not. You can see I did dull down that bright orange though a little bit. The lines was just really, really killing it. But this so far still looks really nice here on the RSI. You can see I blocked out everything else, just fine tuning it down to this one indicator right now. So that looks pretty decent here in the 4-hour time frame. Let me see. So yeah, get a little pullback and then consider entering, especially if you can get it to come back and back testing here, or maybe the trend line across here, which probably would match up with this anyway. So I think that when we had last looked at pump, yeah, it followed the narrative where you get the push out here, standard deviation 1. You lose standard deviation 1 and 2, or 2 especially. You come back in, then you probably looking around here, a little bit of an overshoot in here, kind of like how Bitcoin just did, and then now it's back inside standard deviation 1 and 2 to the upside, actually hanging outside of 1, which makes it relatively strong in here. So if it pulls back the same way it held here around your standard deviation 1, that would be the best. So if you can get that, I guess back here around this high right here would likely match up with it, and this is on a 4-hour time frame, so I guess that gives plenty of room for that to happen. If you see that, then that could be a good point of entry for this one. But before we get too bullish, and if not, then I just check around here. This probably will have moved up by that point, so check around here because you want to make sure you maintain any momentum that you're distributing. So I would look at that. But nice move here for pump. See what the other altcoins are doing, if they're having as much of a good time. But before I do that, let me take a look here. Let me just keep moving with what we have in here first. Okay, hold on. All right, USDT dominance. Okay, so when we looked at this, of course we saw that we hit resistance here, and this is going to be your is this our 10? No, it's our 26. Our 26 EMA right here. So this is the one from the monthly time frame that we very cleanly pushed into, and we got the rejection from right here. Now there is some good news looming out there for USDT for stable coins, period. And that is, the SEC is trying to pass this bill where, you know, you can trade stocks with it. So we'll have to see how that affects USDT in comparison with Bitcoin, because it may not be the same anymore. But there is some big news out there right now for stable coins, and Tether being the big dog. And not just that, when you think of Tether, you have to think Ethereum. You have to think ERC20. Know how much trading volume a Tether goes through ETH? Boy, if you ain't crazy on Ethereum right now, then I don't know. I don't know. But think about it, okay? Now this right here, which one was this one? What are you? That might be our 60. I'm sorry, that's our 60 right there. This is our 26 right here. Never seen a cross between these two right here. Ever, 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 ever has there been a cross between these two. If I ever see a cross between this 26 and the 60 for USDT dominance, then I can say something different is happening with the crypto space, because there has never, ever, ever been a cross between these two, ever. And they're getting pretty close. They're getting pretty close. In fact, this might be the closest they've ever gotten in history too. So this is probably like the closest, this is the closest they've ever been in history. And if they ever cross, be glad that you're in crypto. Be glad. I think you're gonna have to pick and choose what tokens you really want to be in. I don't think you're just gonna be able to pick any altcoin and expect for it to rally. We're at a new phase right now of what alt season look like, and it's really not going to be like an alt season. I would say that it's going to be more like how you would view the stock market. What are your blue chips? Who are your big players? You want to be positioned in those, and you don't want to just pick anything. You'll always have fun with meme coins for sure. And I like AVAX, but I don't think that the gaming sector is there 100%. It's not like the stuff you go in the store and buy. It's not like a PlayStation games. It's not like your Xbox games or your PS2s or any. It's not like any of that stuff right there. There's still some work to be done in our gaming space here in crypto. But I do still believe AVAX is a great altcoin. So it's all about picking and choosing what are going to be your blue chips, your Bitcoins, your Ethereums, your Solana. I'm gonna even throw this wild child in there, and that's going to be Tron. Tron. Yeah, I don't like it, but I'm just going to throw it in there. Tron. We'll see. So yeah, never seen a cross there. Maybe that happens. Maybe we lose this macro line. I'm pretty sure if we get across, we're gonna lose this macro line, and then something different is happening here with with Tether altogether. I don't know. It's confusing right now, but we'll see what happens. All right, so we were holding support in here, as you can see. We were holding that support in here on the stablecoin dominance. So all stablecoins in here, we were holding that. And then, Bitcoin just did the thing right there. And then this gap in here suggests that apparently if it's not holding over here, then we'd be looking back down to here. This is the latest data. I like to go with the latest data right here. Was I getting close to Trump when I did that? I hope so. I like to go with this right here. And just fall through this hole right here, which would be nice for Bitcoin as well. We talked about this potentially looking like a head and shoulder in here. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. And if it is, and every time I draw these little lines, it never plays out. Most of the time it doesn't. Not on the head and shoulders and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do it just like that. It's good enough. Okay. So that will put us back at this trend line right here. Back into this zone right here where we had the bullish divvy at. If that works out, that's what that suggests. If this is a head and shoulder here on stablecoin dominance, then, oh boy, you know what that means? It changes everything for Bitcoin. Interesting. So market structure just shifted, or will, because that was a higher low so far on Biddy. It's a higher low. All right. We'll see. Let me change this to red. All right, so that's what we'll be looking at here for stablecoin dominance. And let me just check on our love child here. Let's see what we're looking like. We're coming back up. I thought for sure this was going to take some time, but I know one thing, it's a good thing. It's a great thing. And it's going to be good to be positioned in Solana. Let me see. I mean, of course, nothing in here suggested it wasn't just a pullback so far. I don't want to see that. That is waiting for that breakout. That's waiting for that continuation, that 20 SMA break above here on the weekly time frame. This still looks good too, of course, because it just got started. So yeah, I mean, just a little resistance right there, but we get through here. We'll be looking here at this one right here next at that 0.06. So it's looking really good at this point, especially with holding. I don't want to see it come below 0.04 in here. But this looks good, especially with the squeeze in here as well, and just waiting for it to break this zone and be above the 20 SMA, just getting past the lows in here of resistance. That's basically what we're doing in here, just trying to make our way past the lows in here. It's a big level right here. It's a big level right here for SOL. But once we get past this, then it's going to be in discovery. I would have to say it's going to be in discovery. And Solana is going to be a go, and probably all things Solana going to be a go. So there's that one. And what was the other one that we were looking at? I know SOL versus BTC is down slightly, and it's still down slightly, and that's okay because we know we came into the resistance in here as well. So versus Ethereum, we know it's not a big deal. Versus Bitcoin, I mean, we haven't lost control here just yet, so it's still a good thing. Just got to get past, yeah, there's a lot to get through in here, but it still looks decent. So, but yeah, not really performing as great against Bitcoin just yet. But holding, we're still holding this little momentum line in here on our weekly time frame. So that is a plus. And let me just see. I probably have that one right here again. I do. Yeah, because if you saw, I don't know if you've looked at Biddy's dominance here, but you see we fast tracking up this 20 SMA again. So yeah, and we're gonna be looking forward to pause out around the 60.85. We'll see if we can pause out here. If we push up that high, then I want to see us pause out in here. Otherwise, we come back in, and I'm going to be looking back up here, wherever we may be at, somewhere around here, around the 65, because we know that when we zoom out, we have this nice little formation in here. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, probably back up into it, right? So I'll be looking at that unless we start to break it. And then I guess I start looking at this channel line in here. But yeah, might come back up exactly how it did over here with this one right here. And how when it broke out of this channel, it came back up to there. So yeah, be looking somewhere around 65 tops, maybe 65 tops in there. But definitely gonna be watching for the 60.85 here on the dominance as a place that we could reject if we push up higher. I don't think it makes sense to really look down here right now. Our return in our expansion zone, I don't think we're there just yet. Yeah, I think this is the only way to read dominance. Honestly, you have to be on something like your weekly to your monthly. If you're lower than that, then you're missing the big picture for dominance. I mean, the other charts are great for temporary, but I think you really have to zoom out to here. It's so much bigger than the small time frames. It's just not something that you measure with small time frames. Let's see. All right, Bitcoin holding around that 116. That's great. That's great. Why do I have this like this? For some reason I have, why do I have this like this? So maybe we actually haven't hit any of this in here yet. I have a golden pocket right here and a 786 up here at 120. I don't know why, but I do. This is on my 1 hour time frame, I guess. Let me see. Okay, because I drew it off of this. That's why. Okay. So I guess we're coming back for this high then. Swooping through this, coming back for this rejection zone in here. Yeah, we definitely can say we've shifted. We're about to shift. It's October, so we should, yeah, higher low. Then we come in through here, higher high. And then, ooh, looks good. Let me drag this one out. As long as nothing messes that up, it's good. We're good. I just need to be in it. I just need to be in it. All right, I'm gonna extend this right here. We've already did that one. I'm gonna extend it, and I just want to see where that's hitting at. I'm gonna have to change this to a -2. All right, and that puts us none other than this high. How about that? Won't he do it? There we go. How great is that? Yeah. And I did this yesterday too. Not actually yesterday, but Monday. I actually did this with I did it with total market cap, but I deleted it. I deleted it because we broke back inside the zone, and I don't like when we come back inside the zone. But I did it over here with this one because initially we were looking at this over here, and it was like that. So I deleted it because I could see that we had this one right here. So we had this inside, well, this, I keep saying inside, we had these inside bars in here off of this mother bar over here. So I was like, maybe I should extend this up like so, like this. And I had it like this, but I deleted it because I was like, we came back inside. I hate when we come back inside of, well, not back inside of this one, but back inside of this top. So when that happened, I was like, there's no way I can still use this because I don't, not when you get a close outside. I don't use it. You don't close outside and then come back in. but it was an idea that we could probably double up. So a target 2 would be the case scenario for it. I just didn't see it after that happened, but I guess we'll leave it in here. I'm going to delete this because I don't want to be ingenuous, because I deleted it yesterday. But maybe if I didn't focus on it so much, I would have been like, okay, yeah, we didn't come back inside this zone, which was the main one. But we doubled up in here. We broke out of this range in here. And I started to look at this one, but I was like, I don't want to keep doing it. I don't want to. And this one wouldn't have worked anyway, because we broke it and then came back inside of it anyway and swept the low. Dang it, I probably should have looked at that. I'm just beating myself up right now anyway. I love stuff like that. I just absolutely love it. But yeah, that's gone. All right. What else? I think I said yesterday I'm not going to entertain the inverse head and shoulder, and I'm not going to entertain it today. That's probably what that is, though. So looking good. I do still get to take credit for that, because that was on point. That was fly. I didn't add any levels in here. I mean, the most we can do is hit these lows in here, come back in here, back test that 166 in here as well. And then if it's not that, then I guess we're back on and popping in here. So let me take a look at, oh man, look at that. Look at this 15 minute though. I mean, who live like this? Look at this 15 minute. What they do this at? For Ethereum? Oh my gosh. Like that. This right here? Look at that. All right, E. You do your thing. I don't want to see you come back and eat this big old candle up. I can see Tino right now. I can hear Tino right now. The vector candle. Oh yes. I don't want you to have to come back in and eat this up. You got a range in here. Oh, this 15 minute. We're not going to bother with 15 minute ranges. But you got one. Yeah, I'm not gonna do the 15 minute range, but I'm gonna flip this to the 4 so I can take a look at what we have in here. XRP, see if we did any improvement in here on XRP. Okay, so this is what we were looking for XRP. See, and this line is all the way out here. Jeez, what time frame was I on when I drew that? I don't know, but this is what we were looking at for XRP. So we're about coming into this 294 in here. Why did we look at that? Does anyone remember? Because I don't. I just know that we did. I don't remember why. Sometimes I just... Let me see if this is why, because I don't know. No, that's not why either. Huh. I do want to see where we're at in respect to this indicator right here, though. Which the last time we tried to break out, we only just tapped into the top side of the cloud, the top side here. So it looks like we're not gonna, it looks like it's not gonna reject from this 294, and I can't remember why we even looked at it. So it wasn't because of that. And if I put it on the daily, was it okay? It was because of the daily. think. Yeah, I think it was because it was because of the daily. Now it's showing for me. It was because of the daily. So momentum break here on the daily. I can see the line right there now. So we're looking for the momentum break here on the daily, and that's why we were looking at it. Okay. All makes sense now. Hold on. Let me look back at that daily again. And see how this cloud is turning up. That's usually not a good sign. It's not a good sign because price action has to chase it. And when it starts to rise like this, it's usually rising because price is going to get trapped underneath the cloud. So price is gonna fail and roll over. That's usually why that happens. So yeah, the cloud is moving away from price action in this particular instance here on this daily time frame. So bear that in mind, and let me see if I can't find you another example of that. All right, so here is an example over here. Now it did manage to catch up to it over here, and it did get that last little shove out before it came back in, and then it fell underneath, and then from there. But I mean, XRP basically I mean, the drop wasn't too dramatic. It wasn't too dramatic. That's just a 46% drop. Nothing to crypto. Nothing at all. But that's what that typically means when it's rising like this. Now, it might outplay it. But that usually means bearish indications in here. That's what that typically indicates. Bearish here on the daily time frame. So just know that it could be bearish on the daily. Let me slide these out. October 1st. It's today. Let's go for the 2nd. And because this is a daily, you won't really pay attention to it until you come to the end of the day, to be honest. And that's the thing about time frames, is depending on what time frame it is, you just have to wait. You just have to wait for confirmation, and that won't confirm until 8 o'clock my time, 8 p.m. So just end of day, end of candle closer for the daily. You won't have confirmation on that until then. Let's see. So maybe back here into the top side of the trend line in here, perhaps. And I know that I drew it off of a weekly time frame because you have all this overage in here. So maybe XRP can do that, perhaps. It wouldn't be too far off from the top side of this cloud in here. But I just, again, watch it on that daily time frame. We know that we have been, this has been a solid range to play. A solid range to play. Because you know how many times we've hit our low in here for this range? I'm going to turn this off for a sec. You know how many times we've hit our low in here for this range? Come back inside and you've been able to play this low and out of our range back inside, and you get to play. I mean, you just got a chance to play this repeatedly. It's so cookie cutter. Just repeatedly play this range in here, and that's XRP for you anyway, just ranging, right? But this has been it for it. So maybe it does it again. Maybe that's all it does is do that. Maybe it does that again. I know yesterday I said on that daily that the daily looked good. I just don't like that moving cloud. And I said that 2 days in a row. Every time I go back and I look at the daily and I look down here and I look at the potential of it actually pushing through whatever resistance is in here from the cloud cover right here. So we're here now. We're back at it again. I say this looks decent. Maybe I shouldn't give myself analysis paralysis. I say this looks decent. and definitely pushing above the 20 SMA here on the daily time frame as well, which I think was in sync with, yes. Now it's all coming back to me. It was in sync here with this momentum line too. Um, yeah, that's what that was. It was in sync with the momentum line, and that was why it was a key level here for XRP. Although, although, there is no sort of contraction in here, which again would indicate a weak high, which is just as good as the weak lows we've gotten in here too. So we've had these weak lows in here every time we hit the low of our weekly range. Basically, it's also been in fine tuned with this standard deviation too here on the Bollinger Band. That's been pretty good confluence. So and it's all in line. The way the Bollinger Band is positioned is in line with that falling or that declining trend line in here, along with the one that's almost relatively flat across here for XRP. But that's why we were looking at this, because it's in tune with that 20 SMA here on the daily time frame. So again, you're going to have to wait until the end of the day for real confirmation. Doesn't mean you can't play with it, but you would have to still wait until the end of the day for real confirmation on this breakout here. If you're seeing price push above that level, you're going to need that. So I'm going to put a pause on this, because that's going to confuse me right now. I just know that I don't like that. I don't like that, because that does indicate bear divs or bearish momentum in here for XRP. That is what that indicates. And like I said, sometimes you can still push through that, especially because that white line, that scale line, is postured to the upside, so it can continue to push up, but at some point that's going to affect the price of XRP, and you could end up seeing it roll back over. You could, but I guess just have to cross that bridge when it gets there. And right now I just be looking, I probably maintain the stance of, if we're getting past this, then maybe we just create another weak high and we push back up into here somewhere. 305 is pretty close with the 302, which is the actual, sorry, let me hide that, which is the actual high of the range in here. But we have been actually pushing outside of the range, so somewhere in there on that Bollinger, I would just look up there, because that's where it's come into that, and then it has seen the rejection somewhere around the standard deviation 1 and 2. That's it. And that's all I would expect here, unless you start to see some contraction, unless you start to see this looking like an onion all of a sudden. It's round, claws are turned in on both ends. Otherwise, yeah, you could see price come back up into here around 305, 316, something like that. But this has been a great zone to play off of here. Great zone. All right, I'm gonna move forward off of XRPZ and put this back on a 4. I mean, we did bounce off of SD1 right here. That was good. That was good. Maybe we can see some sort of an expansion here off of the 4-hour. But I would be looking for that on the daily. So use your daily time frame for XRP. It's probably going to be better for you. And watch that 294.46 or your 20 SMA on your daily time frame as well. moving forward, I think I already glanced over at Solana already, and everything pretty much did like Bitcoin did. Where no, Bitcoin actually didn't make it back to the 20 SMA, and that would have been nice because I could have got an entry. Still up there, tackling around that standard deviation 2 up there for Bitcoin, so still holding it down there. Yeah, I've already looked at Sol, so I'm gonna push past that. I have been skipping all over Crow. Um, these are not strong highs, but I can see that you're ranging somewhere off of your standard deviation 2 down to your 20 SMA. It's basically what you've been doing here off of your 4-hour time frame, and you're back at this 4-hour level, which is large for Crow, but typically I just look at the low and the high. I might need to update this because you had a big space in here before and you don't have that big space anymore. Actually have some chop in here. And so, oh, you had the weekly level in here at 21.59, which is where it actually found resistance at the last time. So we can look back at that here for Crow, 21.59. That's not going to change. And then if it gets past the 21.59, then we can entertain somewhere around that 23, for example. This isn't bad. It's not bad. It's just Crow. It's Crow. And I'm holding spot position on Crow. So I hope it continues to pump. Let me see it on the daily. Yeah, we did look at this. So it is, okay, it did light up like a Christmas tree over here on the daily. It's not bad. And it had been in between standard deviation 1 and 2 in the bearish control zone over here on the daily time frame, all the way back down here into the golden pocket, and now it's trying to push out of that. So I guess directly we would be looking up here, like I just said, 21.59 would be the next target zone to look for here for Crow. Yeah. Yeah, 21.59. There you go. That worked out perfectly for Crow. And if it if it falls back to the downside for, that was just perfect. Yeah, I would just look at that 21.59 and wait for something to shift. But yeah, that was perfect. Ascending trend line into the golden pocket. And then, yeah, you start to look back at this level in here. If it gets through this level right here, then I probably wouldn't really entertain too far past what I mentioned before. That is to be seen though, because that's postured down. So even if it breaks it, you could see yourself wandering back up underneath it because of the posture on it. It's not something that it's squeezing here on this daily. It's a nice squeeze in here on the daily. I don't like the situation here. If I take this out of the way and not focus on that, then I would say this looks good. If I just take away that yellow, I would say that this looks good here on the daily time frame. So some break to the upside is going to happen, but just how much time does it take for it to happen? I would do this on spot. But something like that is supposed to take place, where you see a nice break to the upside for it. And then Sui. I guess we're just if Sui, let me see, A, B, C, D, E. Nothing has actually changed for SUI. If it pushes up, then I guess it comes back up here into this trend line right here. I know we're all waiting for some sort of a breakout to the upside. That may have been some things that changed on the weekly time frame that suggest that it can move through there now. But as far as I'm concerned, I still kind of feel like there might be some weakness in here. And let me just check something in here on SUI. I'm just looking at some info. I'll be right back over there to that screen. I mean, you still see that screen. I'm not seeing it right now. I'm looking at something else in here. I guess there's nothing to really worry about as far as SUI and the unlock scheduling or anything like that for a little bit in here. And they still have tons locked up, a ton. Way more than they have unlocked. So they have like double the amount locked versus unlocked. But that wouldn't happen until 2030, apparently. After 2030. Okay. So, I mean, I guess it's really nothing to really be frantic about, because I'm thinking, I'm still leaning towards a bigger pullback here for SUI. But undoubtedly, I mean, that's pretty clean. It's pretty clean. So I'm just going to have to look back at this trend line in here for price action to at least come up into here and then potentially break from here. To the downside, I'll probably look back here at this trend line and this 262 here. So that'll be my up. That'll be my down. I'm just going to scale back the rhetoric a little bit here for SUI. Here, let me drop that, and I'm going to drop this too. The daily looks like it might be shaping up. It really does. It really, really, really does. And like it's going to break. Yeah. It looks like it's going to push up and out. That's what it looks like. I mean, formation is a positive formation. Nice on the MACD delta down there. RSI here. My only concern would be if we're going to put in bear divs in here, kind of like how we did it right here at this top, how we got the bear div in here. But otherwise, yeah, it looks like we're going to see this break up here. So let's see how it reacts here. If it's prepared to break out, then I start looking back at the 412, and then I come up here somewhere. Measure move looks like it probably would. If I'm not going to do the pole. If I take away the pole or something like that, then it's probably, I would say, back at the low here, 493. But that looks positive. I mean, and this already looks good in here. That looks good. Let me look back at Bitcoin. It looks like it did push up a little bit more. Oh, Solana. Some stuff looking good in here. And when I looked at this earlier this morning, I could see that we were back underneath here, but that candle for Biddy, it just brought it back inside this zone again. I'm gonna leave this trend line on here, even though we've used it a few times. There's usually no purpose in it after that, but I'm gonna leave it in here. That looks nice. I know we're not getting this this measure move right here. We're not getting that. That actually looks really good, and that was a perfect place to catch that pullback. It's gonna possibly bear div. And it looks like it just came back into the 20 SMA too, and then that was it. So yeah, see, this was a perfect example of being in your standard deviation 1 and 2, losing your standard deviation 1, coming back into your 20 SMA, and then continuing, which is what I wanted for Bitcoin yesterday, so I could get into it. But it didn't quite play out like that, and I just have to accept that I'm not in. But yeah, this was perfect. This was perfect. And you could have sniped into this entry too. That was absolutely perfect. It perfectly did it over here as well. It perfectly did it back here as well. This was the most it actually broke over. This was the most it did right here. It's this point, because otherwise it was pretty clean to trade this with the Bollinger Band, and it might go back to being that clean again. Yeah, it looks like it might go back to being that clean again. So you know that if I'm just going to go based off of this right here, because that was really clean, how it's, respect, and when it broke out of it, it just came back to the 20, bounced up, went back inside your bullish control zone, came down. You would have been looking right here again, because you're always going to be looking at this next. That didn't work. It honestly did not, it didn't roll over, anything like that. So no expansion or anything like that. So that was cool. Then back in and back up and back to 20, back in, back up and back to 20. And when it failed, you're just looking down. This was the first time that it actually expanded. And I would probably continue to treat it that way. Waiting for an entry in, you're probably going to be waiting for it to come back down here to the 20 SMA. Since it is postured to the upside, that is what I would be looking at. Hopefully not today or off of this candle, because that would look like a complete disaster. But at some point on the pullback, you would want to check back in on your 20 SMA. And then if your 20 SMA fails, then you just start to walk it down and look at your 1-2. But this is pretty good, the way it respectfully moves. Possible inverse. We'll just go ahead and measure this off just in case it decides it wants to push up at some point. Maybe that doesn't happen today. We don't know. I think it's just, I don't know. I just feel like I'm being premature if I assume right now. Oh, that's a perfect tap. I'm going to give this some time. Yeah, I'm going to give this some time. So I'm just going to set this over here on the second. That would be crazy. No, it wouldn't be that. 618. Okay. That could make sense. Yeah, that could make sense. 618 up there. 1150. That seems psychological. And that is a perfect tap right there. I'm just going to put a regular trend line on this. For BNB and see if I can't find an entry at some point. I think I will hide this one. So I'm just going to hide that trend line. And check back in on this. I'm going to see this. I don't want for analysis paralysis, and that might give it to me. So I'm going to leave that alone. Let me just see how we've done with the EMAs in particular. So naturally, if I'm using EMAs, I don't know what your preference is, 20 SMA or EMAs, SMAs or whatever. Naturally, I'll be looking for price to respect the 60. So on this greatest pullback, 60 would probably be it. I like BNB. Bitcoin is still, it's hustling a little bit, still over here with that standard deviation too, but that's fine. You kind of would expect that. It's not a brand new breakout, so you would expect for it to react every time it came up to it at this point. About an hour, 46 minutes out. All right, let me get back over here. See ADA. I know everything looks like it has an inverse head and shoulders. Everything does. And I probably can't argue that it's not. I'm a little thrown off with the extension over here, which looks like a channel on everything. I mean, we break it, then that's something different. I'm a little thrown off by that. We'll be back in here. I don't think that's needed anymore. So we take that away. And this probably have changed. I need to update these 4-hour levels. So please forgive me. If it makes sense, then it'll make sense still. But I do need to update these here for Cardano. I'm sure that there is another trend line through here. It's already broken this one. And I'm sure we did not. That looks good. I mean, RSI continues to look nice over here. It looks like we would ride this all the way up. Usually what'll happen, especially when you start seeing a lot of whipsawing across the fast and the implied here. Um, it's all about this one right here. And typically you won't see it roll over, price roll over until this one extends all the way up into the green. That's going to take some time. It'll be like this right here. It'll extend all the way up into the green. And then you can start looking for where it breaks down over this one. Because when it's doing this, it's just sending price higher and higher. That's why it keeps whipping it like that. It's just going up and up and up. So, I mean, ADA could be fine. It could be absolutely fine. Same thing again back here. When you typically start this, when this drops into the red and RSI crosses above it, you typically see temporary pullbacks throughout. Like it caught it that time, but it recovered. I don't know what happened in here, but it caught it that time and it recovered. But it's usually when it starts to get up here in the green that you start looking for it to pull back. So anything I've covered so far, have you seen that? I would say that it looks great, and I wouldn't really focus on the short-term moves to the downside because you're gonna get them. So Chop City throughout going up, but more than likely this looks good, which is why I minimized everything else, because the rest of it will be a noise, and I don't want to get too caught up in the noise. So yeah, ADA looks fine. So if this is going to be a huge swing, then I would look to the weekly. So I would look to 92.80. That's how we tend to move from a weekly to a weekly. Yeah, I would be looking somewhere way back up in here. So good looking 4 hour. And that's why I also kept pressuring. Like when we saw all of this green through here, like you can't always know. I mean, you're looking for it to break above the 20 SMA at this point when you see all this green. But anytime you see this green, you know it's squeezing, and at some point it's going to give you something really, really nice. So if you and I would typically say, especially for something like a 4 hour time frame, and it keeps doing this, and you're not seeing a break yet. Great time to start accumulating on something. Great time to start accumulating for a nice move up. So if you played anything in here, and let's just say we're coming back up here, you made a nice little money for yourself, or you did pretty good for yourself, regardless how much money it is, or you still did good. But that's nice, because 4 hours were really overextended, really, really, really overextended. So I can see us pumping because of that. And it was just bear div after bear div after bear div, and then finally no more bear div, and then it broke. But ADA looks pretty decent in here. I always want to tell you what your downside would be too, just in case, because we never know what's going to happen. I mean, you just start to look back at your 78, 72 to the downside. I mean, it's really something like that. Or you can just pull your fib and see where your fib is somewhere inside of this zone in here. But I'm going to say somewhere between 78, 72 on the downside. To the upside, I'm just going to keep it kosher and say 92.80. You got a big space in here. Once you get past here, you shouldn't be moving with the hassle. I know you probably see this little bit of resistance in here, which was a flip zone for us back when it was, and it was back over here. We were saying we needed to get above this zone in here. We did. We came back tested it, and then we just dropped. So there's a huge gap in here. That price should be able to move as cleanly through as it moved down. That clean move would probably put us back here at this trend line right here. But I'm going to be looking up here at this 92.80. Seems to be how it ranges. I'll push out on the daily. Yeah, it always comes back up into here. I'm saying always, but the last few times it did. Came back into that 92.80. I should just make this match the other ones. And that's going to be the deal. 92.80. This probably should have been drawn downwards. This probably should have been drawn like that. It's already broken it now, so did I have it on here? Did I have anything in here like that? I did. I had this right here. Okay, so I can stop tripping. All right. Looking for 92.80. We already looked at that. Already looked at that and already looked at the pumpster over here. Pendle. This one's been having a little bit of a rough time. I don't know if anybody really cares about Pendle right now. I'm gonna fast forward. Take a look at H bar. Came really close to getting back into that VWAP. Were we looking at this recently? But we held our neckline retracement zone in here off the weekly. We know what that is. That is this here. This. We held that perfectly. Turn that back on. We can see. That's our tap into that. So that was a nice bounce. We did entertain this. I think this was, if not yesterday, it was Monday. But recently, I know we started looking at this right here. This little fallen wedge. I would say that this one is a flag. I could say that with this one. I don't usually do flags, but this looks pretty good. It's not overextended out to the side. It's not, yeah. I think it shouldn't be more than 50% longer than your pole, but it might be. It might be. But anyway, that looks good. That's a nice back test. Respect. I like that. So naturally, we want to push out, and we might have another hang up if we're coming back up. Coming into this standard deviation 1. Well, not even standard deviation 1, bandwidth 1 here. And I showed you a while back where I pulled this from, but you can see it right here. It was off of this low right here. And that's pretty much how H bar has been moving. Somewhere into it, somewhere into here. And we're just slightly below this VWAP now. So once we get above this VWAP, I will start to look back up here again, especially with this formation in here for a nice clean break to the upside. So looking pretty snazzy there. Not a big fan here right now. I'm not. What are we? We're slightly above that fast signal here on the weekly time frame, but I don't like that. I like it when it looks like this. Like that's perfect. When it swoops down like that, I like that when it swoops down like that. That's what I tend to look for. Swoop down and then you push up, swoop down and then you push up. So I'm not a fan right in here, but I guess that could be the surprise. It's just something I have to get used to in here. But we are below. I'm saying you because I have it, and I should be saying I am or we are. If you're in this, we are below here, and that will probably be the part I don't like. I can see the confluence with that um, pattern in here. I can see that. So you can do a trend regression line on this and wait for a break above that trend regression line. But nonetheless, back at VWAP, back at that momentum line, and we're just looking for this to break to the upside. Naturally, that's what this would tell us. We're going to be looking for this to break to the upside, especially with that. I mean, we look at market structure. That looks good in terms of market structure. Minus away the indicator. That looks good. But let me just see. See, I don't like that. But market price action will tell us before anything what we're going to do. So we'll see. It's got to get past the resistance now. Down, you already know I'm looking back in here. I mean, if it's been interacting with standard deviation, I'm sorry, bandwidth 1 and bandwidth 1, then I'm naturally going to be looking back in here, potentially back around the 1691 3 first. So maybe there, if we were to roll over and lose this neckline, if that were to happen, structure tells me that this is good, great back test, and we're looking for this to break to the upside. That's what structure is showing me. So I would just buy some more if it comes down, but right now that looks good. For H bar, I'm gonna look back at Bitcoin because it's not making it right now. I know that we were around 116.5. We're at 116.3. I mean, a $200 difference. Did anything happen? Oh, I guess something did happen. Japanese firm Metaplanet acquires 623 million in Bitcoin, becomes fourth largest corporate holder. All right. You can see my scenarios that I had posted on the 28th, but it didn't happen that way. Well, yeah, I was looking for that sweep first. I was like, maybe we sweep this again. Maybe we sweep it again. So I know I said that this was it. So, but I was like, maybe we sweep it again. Maybe sweep again. So that was supposed to be scenario 1, that we sweep it again. If we didn't just sweep it again and run up, then we were going to come down here to the 382. That would be the next place that I would be looking at, 382, because other things that came to the 382. And then that would be the sweep of the low and also a fib level retracement, blah, 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 blah. That one didn't happen either. And then the worst case scenario, of course, was going to be the 95, but that's what I range hold and sweep. Gosh. I would have been in there. I'm not, but that's good for Bitcoin. That's good. Metaplanet, huh? I know what was that? 623 million can do more than that. I know it can. That was a nice little pop. All right. No, I won't all go through there at one time. I'm pretty sure of it. All right. Chain link. Oh boy. What are we looking at? I have to move out to a 4 just so I can see. I mean, that looks good. Again, everything that I've looked at here on the 4-hour time frame looks good. Like I said, you're usually going to be looking for this to push up here into the green, which takes a while for that to happen. So pullbacks would just be pullbacks, and then we'd be looking for continuation. I know yesterday when we looked at this, we weren't really getting past this level in here. We identified that we were coiling on chain link, and once we see the break above here, hopefully this isn't a sweep and then we lose it. I'm gonna take this away now because I don't think I really need this line anymore. Actually, I'm gonna hide it because it did work initially, so I'm just gonna hide it for now. So we were looking at this. We had both targets always. You know, if it breaks here to the upside, then we're looking for it to come back up into here, which is in confluence with the 2377, which is the weekly range high, and also that descending trend line that we have in here. So that makes sense. So we want to make sure we're doing more than just sweep. You know what I always think, if you sweep one side and you fail, then you probably come back down and sweep the other side. So, but this looks great. That looks great. And this is this little, sorry for the extra noise in here, but this little formation in here, yeah, that would make sense. And then of course, you know, we're all going to be looking for the break to the upside, and then we're going to say we're coming up here next. I do not view this as a flag. I think I did say something like that. I don't view this as a flag. I don't view this as a flag. But I already see everybody doing it. I can already imagine it. I see it. It goes something like this, and it might happen. It might happen. It's just not my thing. I can see that happening, and then somebody doing this right here, and voila, we all the way up here somewhere. Or somebody does it like this, and we're all the way up here somewhere. And I'm not saying chain link isn't going to do that. This extension is way too large for a flag. On the daily, yeah, it looks like by the time it gets up to here, it probably would meet up with this cloud cover we have here on the daily time frame for chain link, if that happens. So I would continue. There's no reason to not be positive on this though, as that is pretty good. I mean, delete these right here so we can see that. But that, yep, that looks good. I'm just going to change this back to I just like my base. Oh, take the background color out. So green side, red side. Stellar. This line has been going on forever, has it not? Yeah, it has. Let me look at it on a daily. Yeah, so we're back at it again. Eventually you break and you take the liquidity over the top. I mean, you can draw it out again. I think I drew it out from a weekly. Yeah, I drew it out from a weekly, which is why it looks that way, but I drew it out from the weekly. It looks like XRP. Let me see if this looks like XRP. No, it doesn't. It looks like it started and then it faded out. But it still looks like XRP. That's what Bitcoin was looking like before it got that pop out. That's why I had to drop these lines on Bitcoin. So if I put you, but it was doing it off of the 1 hour, 15 minute. So I had to drop the lines. I had to drop all the noise from the lines and just drop the trend regression line instead. So I could see where we actually got the physical breakout right here without the noise. That's kind of like what Stellar looks like right now. But will it do that? I don't know if it'll do that though, but that's where that came from. I don't know if there's a sufficient way for me to do it to see, but that is probably what I would do. It's just and then you would, just like it was looking, I guess, assume that it's actually want to break it this time. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I'd have dropped it back into this one, that's how it originally was. And then you got that breakup. And then, let me see something here, people. So sorry. It's above the 50 right now. Maybe it's breaking this time. Maybe it's actually going to break it this time. Take whatever liquidity is over this trend line right here. Push out. Probably come back into 40 or something like that. And then we want to see it take out this high in here. Start to change market structure or something. Change a character. $20 SMA right now. That's where it's sitting at. Was that the same thing for, that was the same thing for XRP. It was at a 20 SMA here on the daily time frame. So maybe we see a breakout today. XRP and Stellar. We'll see. That might be it. Let me see if there's a squeeze in here. That'll be nice. I don't need that anymore. Let me take that away. I'm going to hide that just to take away some noise. And I'm going to take that away as well. Because we just held the low. I mean, we held the low of this range, this weekly clean, like clean. Mr. Clean Clean. I don't need this anymore either. So get rid of that. And we just got this. Okay. So I'm gonna take away this big old line. I'm just gonna redraw this off of how it already is. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we see a breakout today. That's a great confluence right there, being that that's the 20 SMA. It does validate this trend line, that's for sure. If I look at it like this, it validates it. It would put it back up here where I was saying around that 40 cents in here, but no actual squeeze or anything again, which I don't like. So, I mean, if we're breaking this, it doesn't really do much for, I mean, you will make some money off of it, but it doesn't really do much for price action. Maybe it fails. Maybe it's a swing failure. It gets the breakout, comes right back down. Unless it gets up here and then price action starts to squeeze once it breaks out of it. We'll see how we do in here. But yeah, no squeeze. It's kind of just weak highs and weak lows again. But at least you know your 20 is sitting right here. So you break up probably, like I said, just back up here to this top side right here. That 40 for XRP. I don't know how many people are really into to Doge. I think that, yep, this was the last thing that we were looking at on Doge. We had two zones in here to identify as a holding, and we held in here along with that VWAP in here. Hit daily. Daily in here. I don't think this is needed anymore, so I'm gonna take that away. And then the next one was gonna be looking down here at this. We don't need that anymore either. We'll take that away. I don't need that either. I'll take that away and delete that too. Doge. So I don't know what this is about. Let me make sure that's on point. All right, so whatever the rise is over here, this isn't going to be a good indicator to use for this price action. Nope. It's probably as good as it's going to get. This one right here, which looks like it's about to cross up again. Yeah. I mean, it's orange in here. You got the lighter color zoomed in right around in here. So I guess, I mean, it bounced off of this trend line or somewhere close. Yeah, it bounced off of that trend line. So I guess naturally we'd probably be looking for this to actually break to the upside. Looks like the 20 is somewhere up in here. So getting past the weekly level in here, I'm gonna check and make sure it's not right there. But it looks like this will push to the upside and possibly even. Okay, so yeah, it is slightly up above that in here right now. It does confirm that this formation is in here. No squeeze or anything like that. So continues to hold and comes back up into here. I mean, I guess that's what we can look at here for no, for Dogecoin. It's just consolidating in here. So we'll look for a push back up into here. Maybe even break over it a little bit. Depends on how you draw your trend line. You know, if you do something like that, then I guess that'll be better for you. So back towards the daily level. Yeah. It's holding VWAP pretty good too. So I had to think about what I wanted to do with that. Okay, so unless it stalls out back up here around that 20, unless it stalls out here at these lows, and then it creates some sort of a head and shoulders. And then you look for this rising formation, which typically breaks down to break to the downside. That's another way of viewing this here for Dogecoin. And then let's just say that that happened. I mean, we never would know where that break would come from. So let's just take this all the way out to here. And that would put it back down here around this low into here. On the head and shoulders, this formation right here would be a stronger break. But that, I mean, that's just a scenario. And otherwise it blasts up through here and comes back up here to the top. I guess that's what we can look for here. Because it has held VWAP pretty good. So looking for a push up first. Maybe it stalls out in here. We'll see. It looks like it goes up first. So here, and then we'll check back up around the daily. For Doge, Virtual was doing not too shabby. This has been really good to us. It's a little 2-day fair value gap. Back up above VWAP. Sorry, I pulled these out so far. I can't remember. Okay. Came back. And it blasted the VWAP that time. I guess the most that you can hope for if you're not already in a virtual position is, let's just say it rejects from that yellow line again, which is at $1.12. Let's just say it rejects from there, comes back and back test VWAP again, and then pushes out, breaking this. If not that, then you will look for it to get a clean break outside of this yellow line this time, and then maybe come back and back test it, because once it clearly breaks it with ease, you'll come back and back test it. So if it's not your resistance, it can be your support. In other words, just like it wasn't support over here, it was resistance. Be looking for that same thing, either for it to act as resistance again, or for price to just cleanly break through it, come back and back test it, and then it's support. And then you get into the position and look for it to push back up into this first level up here, around 137 to 147 in here, which is where it stalled out before a few times. Yeah. Yep. So it does something either like that, back into here, clean breakout. Probably would catch some resistance in there. Back testing here, over here somewhere, and then we're just gonna be looking for it to, I guess it's just gonna blast up here all the way after that, huh? It would hit some resistance in here, but that's something to look at. Or it just cleanly breaks through here and hits here. But was I? Let me see. No, I don't want that. That's a weak high. That looks pretty good. And that was a clean back test. And it's already about to be overbought. So that could work. I know we're not doing that. But that looks pretty good still, nonetheless. And just focus on the positive in here right now. That looks pretty good. Let me look back at Biddy and see we're at 16,224 now. Yeah, we getting ready to get a pullback on Biddy, which is fine because we just blasted up through there. So we're gonna get this pullback. We don't really have any support in here until about 114, back around where it got the break out from. Maybe I will jump into something here on a smaller scale off the 15-minute. I haven't really engaged in the 15-minute. We'll see where we're at. Had I had us on Bitcoin this entire time as I've been talking? I hope not. And I probably did. Hey, Summit Holder, I'm so sorry. I probably had it sitting over here on Bitcoin the entire time while I'm running my mouth. I was just over there on virtual. That's wild. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it looks like we're about to pull back. We could. This is squeezing in for it. We were, again. I mean, if you've been at the channel a bit, you know when we're gray, we're looking for a pump. When we're green, we're looking for a correction. So we're green again over here. So we'll be looking for. I mean, we flip highlighted colors into some sort of a weakness. It can be temporary, by all means, temporary. But we're going to see some sort of a pullback in here after this right here. And the analysis, I've already covered that for Bitcoin in here. We got a great looking 4-hour chart. The biggest thing I could tell you, if you're still here, not sure. Probably need to come out here to this chart right here. So higher low, which is great, higher low. And we really want to see that closure above here. Once we do that, we know that we've shifted market structure in here. Double bottom, you can say double bottom. We can even over here for this particular time frame in here, just say this is that. I'm not going to even do one for, let me turn that around because I don't like the way that red is sitting up top. So let's take it from here. All right. What's that? 128. I know we're all still looking for 130, right? We're all still looking for about 130. That was like 128. I'm not going to be looking down, so I'm going to take down off and just be looking at the upside. So once we see price close above the trend line right here, then we know that's 117,900 here on the 1-day chart for Binance. Then market structure shift in here, higher low, higher high, and we're all going to be looking at that 130 again. I'm going to slide this all the way out to October 20th because that's when I think that we drop. But maybe this time is different. But I'm going to go with October 20th. So I'm just going to hold this all the way out through here. So 133. Bitcoin looks good. To tell you the truth, it looks pretty good. Positive MACD and Delta here on your daily time frame. Both turned up together. It's pretty strong when you see them both turn up together. Then of course you see, oh no, not that. I cannot complain. Yeah. The last thing that we were looking at again for Bitcoin, if you weren't here, was for us to get back above 20 SMA, which we did do that on that weekly closure before our weekly closure on Sunday happened anyway. But this puts us in line with what we'd be looking at around that 130 that we just seem to have never made our way up to. If this plays out again, higher low, and then we're looking for price to just close above here, change market structure here on a daily time frame, and continue our push up. After we did this little, actually it was just a change of character. After we did this little change of character, well, I guess you can say market structure shift. I don't know what's happening in here, man. Lower low, lower high, higher low, higher high. Keep it going. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with October for me. I think October 20th might be it. But we'll see. We'll see. Right now, this will get you back into your, again, your golden pocket, and then your 786 probably going to be somewhere up. What was that at? Golden pocket right here. And then yeah, 786 is up above that 120. So just coming back to do this all over again. That's what that measured out to for a target 2 in here, since we did beat the wall down on target 1 in here. This is what I was looking at last week, potentially just in here, but it looks like we could do this. Like we are going to take this out. Looks like we are going to take that out. And then, like I said, once that happens, then, you know, daily, you just be looking up. Yeah, you just be looking up. For hour, looks good. Overheated, but any pullback will probably be a good entry. But very overheated here, which I know a lot of people say that's a good thing. In a bullish environment, a slight bear div in here, but nothing major. So yeah, I would just be looking for a correction in here potentially, and we'll all be like, oh, it's over again. And it won't be. I think this is going to run up. Yeah, we came all the way down here into the red. Yeah, I think this continues up, and along with a lot of those other altcoins, until we get back into here. Once we get in here, then we can start to look down again. But this looks good. It looks like we're going to continue up. I just need to find a good entry. So back over. Uh-oh. Back over here. We flagging. Might be trying to flag a little bit right here, but we know that we are at standard deviation 2 to the upside on the 4-hour time frame on the Bollinger, which is where we're finding a little bit of hesitancy. It's not a fresh squeeze breakout, so we just look for it to continue up in that manner. So we're in the bullish control zone, which is awesome. CoinShare responds to rise of active ETFs with Bastion acquisition. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I had this on here. I probably didn't, as I was talking about scenarios over here for Virtual's protocol. As I was saying, as I was so rudely not even on this this page, I suppose, is the fact that it did get back up above VWAP, as it was rejecting off of VWAP before. So this is the macro VWAP, held it as support, broke it, held it as resistance, and now we're back up above it. And the thing is, we probably could come back up here into this section right here, reject, look the whole VWAP on the back test, push back up, hit here, and then continue back up into this green zone in here for virtuals. Otherwise, it just blasts straight through this yellow in here. And if it blasts straight through the yellow, then you won't focus on that pullback. You'll focus on price coming back into here, and then that could be a good entry. I would not buy this candle, but 4-hour does look pretty good. I was just saying over here too how both occasions when it got the drop in here, it held very well as support. So this looks pretty good for virtuals. You can zoom out and find something on a lower time frame than the 4 for an entry into virtuals, because I do think that this is prepared to move up. And it's good if you got it down here off of that 90 under $1. Stellar. Under $1, that's stellar. Oh, the other thing I was saying too is it's coming into overbought, and yeah, it's coming into overbought. And this is doing something I don't know what to make of. Should I do it like that? I don't know what the deal is with that, but you can see the difference. I mean, we're putting in some bull divs down through here. So quite naturally, you're going to have this mirroring in here. But it looks pretty good. Again, of course, you're going to be looking for a rejection. I think that rejection is just going to lead to more upside. So that correction would just lead to more upside in here for virtuals. I think it's good. I'm not going to keep going through these because I do want to find a Bitcoin position. It's not the end if we don't hit this target in here, which is supposed to be down here around 7. So it's not the end of anything if it doesn't. It is within that golden pocket right here. And that is, when you zoom out, it's really minor. I mean, 60 cents seems like the place to be buying. I'm not saying 60 cents. 6 cents looks like the place to be buying costs. But then you end up breaking the low of this ascending trend line in here. So let's golden pocket 786. Tracement. Nothing is screaming up. No, nothing is screaming up right now for costs. I don't even know where to begin with it, to be honest with you. I think the last thing I said yesterday was they was just doing this a little bit too much, and it's showing weakness, in my opinion, to continue to push price down, because these are on the top side of the bars, which means they're trying to find strength to push it down, and they're having a hard time. And you can see how it already broke back above this one momentum in here. So anytime I see that right there, I just say it's weakness on the behalf of bears and their ability to continue to drive prices down. So naturally, I guess I'll be looking for this to break back to the upside in here. I'm going to leave this on here though, just because, but I would be looking for it to break back up. So once it manages to get back above this daily level in here, which is here, because it's major resistance for it, because it acted as support for quite a while. I guess you come back in and back test somewhere around here next for resistance. It could be a nice little ending right here. And like I said, you're looking for it to break to the upside. Ultimately, you want to take out a high, of course. But for starters, just getting back in here. And I guess that would be the target. Yeah, that high right, that would be the target. I just gotta see here. 270. Let's see, we kind of stalled out a little bit in here, but Solana back at the top of the trend line, back here at the what was that, 217.81. And we said that we're looking here. If we get a break out of here, Then we're looking at 227. Hyperliquid is doing pretty good. It has now managed to trade back outside of that weekly level of 26. I mean 46 or 46.6. Might as well say 46.7. It's managed to trade back outside of that once again. So that's great. I have to jump off. I have to get myself together for an appointment that I have today. I really wanted to reschedule it, but I can't because it's hard to get. So, again, if we lose on Bitcoin, if we lose, let me see. I have it in here. We got like 45 more minutes on this 4 hour. Yeah, we're changing that market structure. We're taking this out. We are taking this out. You don't want to see it close above it on the 4 hour. You want to see it close above it on the daily. But we're taking this out for sure. It looks like it. Even if we have a little bit of a pullback to look forward to, as long as we're not engulfing our little candle we have over here, we definitely would be taking this out. But again, like I said, right now we are still we are still having that slight reaction at that standard deviation too, but this is going to rise once we get that closure here on the 4 hour. In the next 45 minutes, this is going to push up more. So all of this is spread out. That'll give it more room for volatility. I mean, you can break outside of it now too if you wanted to. If it wanted to, it could, but it definitely looks like we take this out. My entry on a pullback would be that standard deviation 1 or that 20 SMA. It would be one of those two for me if we could get that. If we can get that. Yep. But that's it. That's what I would look for. If you're not in Bitcoin and you're looking to get into it, that's what I would look for. Whenever you can get your pullback, I would be looking at standard deviation one as a point of entrance, or the 20 SMA as a place to get in to a long position. But it does look like we're going to take out that high over there. And hopefully by the time we get our closure for today, we are closed above it. I would like for that to be today. Um, It'll be one hell of a candle for sure. Should that happen, I don't think government shutdown, anything like that, is really going to have a big impact on price action. So far, it hasn't. So that's something that I would be looking at. And again, I would also check out Palantir for an entry. It has a slight pullback. It did come up about $1 now. It was somewhere around 179 when I looked at it pre-market. $1.79. It's 180 now. Well, after hours is what I was watching. But I think you might find something useful. I would expect for it to get a slight pullback, nothing major. But with the government shutdown and being that they work off of government contracts, it could delay some things forward, or probably just, slightly. So no major impact for it, of course. I'm not thinking it'd be a major impact to Palantir, but something slight where you could catch an entry off of it. If it does at least 177, I think that's cool. 177 to 161. Probably pushing for a lot to say 161, but maybe it's worth looking into. And with that said, I do have to get up and get myself together. That's it. That's Biddy. There you go. Your trend line break here, unless you're doing it differently and you're drawing it across here. I don't know how that lines up. Unless you're doing it like that. We still have these lows to come into for Ethereum. We haven't even got there yet. We're just at the daily high right now. So we're just at the daily high. And then we have this in here to contend with these lows. So then hype finally trading back outside of this level again, this weekly level. You can see we tested it there, broke out of it, fell back in, kind of close into it in here. Now we're back up above it. It looks like we could claim that was a little back testing here off this 2-hour time frame. So I'll be looking for hype to continue to push up, and my first target is going to be somewhere around this trend line in here, which would have to be extended. And then if we're back in that, then I just start to look back up here at 51. But not bad. Still hitting these lows in here, but you do want to see Aster back up above these lows in here. We're right back at it. At least you got a closure in here above it. This is 2-hour time frame right here. So double bottom, neckline break right there. Neckline back test right there. So you really want to try to hold in here. You can also drop this down to a line bias and do it like that. But at the end of the day, Really need to see price get back above here. It did have that bull div down here off of this low, which is great, off of the head and shoulder measure move down here to the 786. So max pain could have been there, but with those unlocks, hopefully that was factored in some kind of way. Until they make a decision on how they're going to mitigate that. But right now, no bueno until it gets above here. And then once it gets above here, its biggest area of resistance is going to be right here. So I probably wouldn't be looking for price to get past here. 189 to 196. I probably wouldn't look for it to get past here. But if we're ever so lucky for it to get above these lows, the resistance in here, that would be the next target, and that probably would be it. And then pump again, of course, fighting with the low in here. A nice little inverse head and shoulder in here. I would start to look up here, of course, this high, these lows in here on the push up. Maybe it can capture that point 007. 007, maybe it can, but that would be that right through here. Some good resistance. Yeah. I'm not a big point of control girl, but it's probably in here. I don't have that in here. It's probably in there. No, it's down here. What do you know? No, it's down here. And that's far off. But major resistance level in here for pump. Like I said, you get past here, then like you'd be looking in here somewhere. You don't really have anything to tackle with once you get past there until you get in here. So nice move for anybody who's in pump. I'm no longer playing it anymore. But that's it. That is it, guys. Love you. I appreciate you for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Have a nice day.